Alright, so here's exactly how to make $1,000 a month with the next book that you publish through Amazon KDP. Step one is to forget everything that you know. Forget what you think makes a good topic, what you think makes a good cover, what you think makes a good title, forget how you think you should launch your book, and most importantly, just forget what you think will work. It's important to go in with a blank slate, no bad habits, no outdated strategies, and when you do go into the next book with an open mind and a new strategy, it's very likely you're going to have better results than you had before. So step two, this is exactly how you pick the right topic to publish in. When you are searching through Amazon and finding some potential book topics, what you want to look for are things that are solving one problem for one person. They're not too broad. You can clearly tell who the book is for and what that problem is that you're solving. You of course want it to have high demand, which I will show you what this looks like. If there's no demand, you can't sell books. Doesn't matter how many reviews you have, you simply won't sell if there isn't people buying that topic. You also want to have the ability to compete. We can't be in a topic that's way too competitive and hard to penetrate those top two rows on page one. And most importantly, I do think your next book should be a high content book. If you're publishing a book that makes $1 or $2 per sale, you have to sell literally 1,000 copies to make $1,000. However, if your book does make more than $5 or $6 per sale, you have to sell a fraction the amount of books to make the same amount of money. So I can promise you, if you have to sell less of something, it's easier to make money. I have showed this chart before, but just for a little rough example here, let's say you publish a low content book that makes $2 per sale. You have to make 17 sales a day or 500 sales a month to make that $1,000. However, with a high content book that makes about $6 per sale, you have to sell 6 books per day or 167 per month to make that same $1,000. So like I said, I can promise you having to sell 167 of something versus 500 is way easier. So don't fall into the trap that low content is beginner friendly. Yes, the books are easier to make for beginners. However, to penetrate the oversaturated markets of low content books is very, very difficult even for advanced publishers. So I do think high content is the way moving forward, especially in 2025 and beyond. So most importantly, when you are searching for a topic, if you can't prove an audience is there, they're not. Don't assume anything. So what I mean by this is you don't want to find a broad topic like keto diet and then create a book that is keto diet for women over 50 unless you can prove that that audience is there. So make sure you are looking for books, topics that are solving one problem for one person. And when you do validate those topics, you're looking at that exact search term and making sure that audience is there. So what makes a good keyword? So when it comes to proof that we can sell, we simply want to look for other books that we can compete with that are selling. These are books that have anywhere from 250 reviews or less with a 30,000 bestseller rank or less. And we want at least 3 of these. And we'll hop into Amazon in a second and show you what I look for when I'm doing this. And then once we prove we can actually sell, all we need to do is prove that we can compete, which is basically looking at the authority figures in the space. How many books are there that have over basically 600 reviews? We ideally want less than 3 of these because of the first 2 rows of our search term is filled with books that have tons of reviews. It's going to be very hard to penetrate and get those organic sales from high ranking. But let's dive into Amazon and I'll show you how I validate topics. So in order to actually see the bestseller ranks of books so we know what we're looking at, you can either use the BookBeam tool, which is what I have here. I will leave my link below. It is a paid tool. However, if you don't have the budget for that, you can easily use DS Amazon Quick View, which you can download in the Chrome store. So once I've gone through some categories and made a list of 100 potential topics, I'm going to simply start searching up these topics, making sure they are solving one problem for one person. In this case, it's beekeeping for beginners. And now I'm going to look for those specific metrics. I'm just looking for books that have 250 reviews or less with a 30,000 bestseller rank or less. This is just telling me the book is selling. If there's multiple of these, there's a good chance that if we execute our book well, we can sell too. And this is a great example because as you can see, yes, there is some search volume, there is some books selling, but some people will just stop there and publish a book and wonder why it doesn't sell. But if you actually dive deeper into the actual data, as you can see, a lot of these books here have 2,000, 1,500 reviews, and they're clearly authority figures. However, they're only making $30 a day, $3 a day, $20 a day. And so if these books that have thousands of reviews are barely selling, what does that say about our book if we have 100 to 200? And so very quickly, you can see that there really is no actual winning books. There's no proof that we can sell because there's no books that have low reviews that are selling well. By the second page, all these books have a few hundred reviews with high BSR ranks. And when you go even further, you see more of this. So basically, there's more proof that we can't sell than proof that we can. So topic research doesn't have to be complicated, but you do have to know what to look for and understand these core concepts. And as you can see, there literally is no proof of a book selling or very little proof. So there's really no actual evidence that our book would sell, even if we do get 200 plus reviews. So go through Amazon, find a list of potential topics, and then validate them exactly how I just showed you. Step 3, how do you create a book that will actually sell? So let's have a look at the self-publishing synergy, which in my opinion is probably the most important thing when it comes to actually making money from books. And that is we have to ask ourselves 2 questions. 1, can we make sales? And 2, can we make profit? So when it comes to actually making sales, we want to, of course, have a high demand topic. We then want to create a best best-selling book, which we're going to get into. We want to launch that book in line with the Amazon algorithm so it actually has a chance to rank and sell. But most importantly, once we have a book that is positioned to sell, we have to actually make profit. And making profit comes from high ranking, which leads to organic sales. From there, we want to have a decent royalty, anywhere from $5 and above. If you're publishing high content books, this is very easy to do. And then most importantly, we do not want to rely on our Amazon ads for all our sales. We want our book to rank high organically, which we get it there by launching our book effectively with enough reviews and our Amazon ads. And then our Amazon ads moving forward are just meant to bring in some sales, maintain our book. But even if they break even, that's perfectly fine because we should be ranking high with a good book, which will be bringing in organic sales. Amazon ads have never been more expensive. It's very hard to get them converting very high unless you have hundreds of reviews. And the most important thing, and the reason I'm showing you this right now, is because we have to nail every one of these steps to actually sell books and make money. Even if we miss the mark on one thing, everything can come crumbling down. Amazon is a game of strategy and intention, and we have to nail every step to actually have a chance to sell and make money. So now when it comes to creating a book that's actually going to sell, there are 3 things to do this. 1 is our positioning, 2 is our book title, and 3 is our book cover. Let's go through a little exercise here. So which book would you buy? Book A or book B? We have balanced exercises for seniors, easy exercises to lose weight, gain muscle, and improve balance. And we have 5-minute balanced exercises for seniors, 60 plus easy and safe exercises for fall prevention and stability in 5 minutes a day. So I don't want to speak for you, but it's safe to say you probably would pick book B simply because it's solving the same problem, but it's telling you it's going to be easier, faster, better, and it's giving you a bit more information about the offer. It's actually offering you something rather than just simply explaining what the book is. Let's look at another example. We have book A and book B. ChatGPT for beginners. Learn ChatGPT and AI prompting. Book B, the ChatGPT Masterclass. Your 30-day plan to master ChatGPT for work, life, and business. Once again, you probably would pick book B simply because it's just a better offer. It's very clear what the book is offering and the end result you're going to have. It's even telling you a time frame. You're going to do this in 30 days, and it's going to be a masterclass. It's going to cover everything you need. So the reason I'm showing you this is because not all books published at Amazon are created equal. Just because you put something on the platform doesn't mean it has any reason that it should even sell. We have to make sure we are positioning ourselves as the no-brainer option in our topic so that when people buy our book, they're actually enticed to click on it and read more. So you need to position yourself as the no-brainer option. This is the most important thing when it comes to selling books. This isn't 2019 or 2018 anymore. We can't just publish a book in a generic topic and make money. We have to be strategic, find one problem for one person in which we're going to solve, and then we make sure that our book is the best offer there. That's all a book is. It's an offer to help somebody solve their problem. And if somebody has a better offer, they're just going to pick that book. And so some ways to do this is we want to solve the customer's problem better, faster, easier, and in a more desirable way than the competitors. Think about the end result they want to achieve, and how can you tell them you're going to deliver that for them way better than everybody else. And the reason this is important is because let's say the generic books A have 150 reviews and we have books B, which are way more enticing. However, we have 60 reviews. We're probably going to outsell book A. The reason being is because it's just a way better offer. And of course, reviews help. But in this case, unless book A has 500 plus, they're going to pick book B because as long as it's close enough, they both have good reviews. They're between that 60 to 150 mark. They kind of all get pooled together and people are just going to pick the one that has the nicest cover and the best offer. So our book creation checklist to do this effectively is we want to study the table of contents of our competitors. This is going to allow us to find the rough structure. If we can see a clear pattern, then we know exactly what our book needs to have. So it's going to walk them through everything that they need and nothing that they don't. From there, we just want to ask ourselves, how can we deliver this same solution with this same structure, better, faster, easier? And alongside this, we can add our unique mechanism or some sort of competitive edge, which is basically how the book is structured. Maybe it's in a time frame, it's a complete system, it's a 4-phase program in 30 days, it's a masterclass, whatever that may be. But just take that structure, add to it, deliver it in a better way. And the last thing we can do is actually go and read the reviews of our competitors and add in things to our book that the other books missed. Reading negative reviews of books is the best way to find out what that reader would have wanted and the experience that they had. And they're just going to basically tell you what would have made the book better. Now we can take that and put it in ours. So now we have the same structure that's delivered in a better way with all the things that the other books lacked. And then from there, you can actually build your table of contents out with ChatGPT. In my opinion, it's fine to outsource your outline. However, I do think we should build the table of contents ourselves because we can do this research and find out exactly what our book needs to have. So I'm not going to read this out loud, but this is a basic prompt you can use with ChatGPT to create a table of contents for your book, in which you can then build into more of a rough structured outline, or you can simply take your table of contents and give it to your freelancer if you are going to outsource the outline. So the reason we want to think about our positioning first is because that's going to allow us to actually have a desirable book in which we can then showcase with our title. So now we want to tell the customer what they want to hear because people buy emotionally. Now we have a better structure. Now we need to deliver that in a better way so that it hits their emotional response fonts, and it actually touches on a bit of buying psychology, so they are way more enticed to click and buy our book, and they really have no reason to buy another one. Do not simply explain the topic of your book in your title. You have to actually speak to the customer and what they want to hear and what they want to get out of your book. And after doing over 150 one-on-one coaching calls with people building Amazon KDP businesses, one of the biggest things I see is people just have a generic title, simply explaining what the book is with no actual unique mechanism or desirable attribute. And then they pair that with maybe 30 or 40 reviews. And even if this book ranks on page 1 or 2, people just don't even register it. It doesn't have enough reviews to spark some emotion where it has social proof. And the title is nothing special, so they just kind of skim over it. And so we have to nail every single step. We have to make sure our offer is desirable, the positioning of our book is good. We then spark an emotion and explain this clearly with our title. And then we pair that with a high quality cover. So when it comes to your title, you want to speak to their problem, maybe their desired outcome. This can be done with time frames so they can actually picture themselves solving the problem they're looking to solve. You also want to look at your competitors. How can you have a competitive edge? Of course, we would have done this with our positioning, but most importantly, we want to keep it simple, keep it sharp, keep it bold, really just tell the customer what they want to hear without adding any unnecessary fluff. A simple title structure you can follow is for the main title. You can have a bold, clear title about the topic or method that you're teaching, which is enticing. From there, in the subtitle, we can have some sort of time-based plan or just explain that it's a complete guide. You can pair that with some number benefits, some number tools and templates inside, or just some sort of unique mechanism you have. From there, you want to mention the target audience. Who is this book actually for? And then have a clear outcome or transformation that that person would want to have. You can, of course, use ChatGPT to do this. Some examples would be the off-grid survival blueprint, everything you need to live self-sufficiently, secure food and water, generate power, and thrive without the grid. It flows off the tongue nicely, it's easy to read, however, it's still bold and tells the customer everything they want to hear without being too generic. I will say this could even be a bit more enticing or exciting with some unique mechanisms, so always think about that with your book, and this will be done in the positioning phase. Now when it comes to your cover, you want to effectively showcase our title in a legible, fast way. I can't stress this enough. Most people are scrolling Amazon on their phones. If they cannot read your book at a glance and know exactly what it's about, they're not going to buy it. It's no different than a YouTube video or YouTube thumbnail or title. You have to be fast, quick, enticing, speak to their emotions so they almost impulsively click on it. And your book title and cover is no different. So how we do this is we want to build the cover around the title. So many people will build a cover and just slap a title on it, not thinking how it's actually positioned. But the most important thing is we want to design the cover around the title itself, because that is the focal point of our book, the focal point of our positioning, our offer, how we're going to help the customer. So that needs to be easy to read, and that literally is the design. We of course want to have opposite colors to everyone else. If our book doesn't stand out, no one's going to see it. We want to have large, bold text. Like I said, it has to be easy to read quickly. And of course, if you pair that with an enticing title, it's going to be good. And if you do want to have some sort of visual on it, I usually like to do some sort of illustrated visual that's more incorporated throughout the title, that works in and blends in. This just works the best. It looks nice, it looks professional, and it lets the title speak for itself. And of course, we do want to have a powerful title. If you don't have a good title, even the best book cover is not going to allow you to get clicks. So here's a little collage of some good book covers. You can screenshot this if you like, and maybe even send it to your designer. But as you can see, there is a pattern. They have bright colors. The title is the main focus of the book. The design is almost designed around it. It's bold, it's easy to read. We want our cover to fall in line with something like this. So this is a perfect example of what not to do. This is a very generic DIY looking cover. I don't like the color palette. The image in the middle doesn't really add any value. We want our books to look more like these: soft pastel colors, interesting fonts, title focused, with intentional visuals that add to the actual cover, not something like this. So when it comes to actually getting our cover design done, Fiverr is a great place for this because you can find some very affordable designers that do a great job. But the most important thing is whoever you pick, look for people where they have good portfolios. They clearly are creating covers that look like these ones here. From there, we want to give guidance, tell them what you're looking for based on what I just taught you, give them examples. You can also screenshot this and send this to them. And don't be afraid to ask for revisions and just perfect your cover. So step 4 is prepping for your book launch. This is one of the simplest yet most important things when it comes to actually having a successful book launch. And all we're going to do to prep for our launch is throughout the entire book creation process, we're going to use a site called Book Bounty. This is what I use to get reviews. Basically, what you do is review other people's books. You collect what they call bounty points. And then when your book is live, you can redeem all the points you collected for reviews on your book. So I will leave my link below. In my opinion, you should strive for at least 100K bounty points. This is easily achievable if you're just doing this throughout your book creation process. With 100K bounty points, you can easily get 70 plus reviews. And the people who spend the time to do this will have a better book launch. In my opinion, we can't just launch our book with 20 to 40 reviews anymore. We have to actually be able to compete with our competitors. And having more reviews is how you do this and how you get more sales quicker. So step 5 is launching our book. So there's a simple launch process that I go through and I teach all my students. And that is basically this here. So as you can see, there are a few things to this. The first one is review prep, of course. So we can actually get some reviews. The second thing is we want to upload our book at a discount, so it is desirable and has a higher conversion rate. Then we want to drive traffic mainly with our Amazon ads. So as you can see, when you do all these things in conjunction, it continues to drive sales in different ways. If you have reviews and you're driving traffic through your ads, you have higher trust, higher social proof, which means a higher click-through rate and conversion rate. And when you have a discounted book paired with running Amazon ads, you have a way higher conversion rate, which also drives more sales. And so if you do all these things correctly, they're all going to drive sales, which lead to the ideal book launch, which is of course consistent sales within the first 30 days, which gets us high ranking and keeps our book ranking and sustainable over the long term. So my simple book launch process is as follows. For month 1 and day 1 to 7, we simply want to upload our book at a discount. If it's a high content book, this will be $9.99. From there, we want to put our book on a free promo. When you do upload your book, you have the ability to select the box that says KDP Select, which will allow you to do this free promo. And the free promo will of course bring free downloads, but most importantly, we can redeem all our bounty points at this time, and they're going to be the most inexpensive. Then of course, we want to upload our A+ content as well. We're not going to dive into this in this video. When you're at this point, I have a complete video on it, so make sure to subscribe and check that out after. But the first 7 days is just getting our book actually ready to sell, which is of course uploading it, getting our A+ content on there, and getting reviews. So days 7 to 30 is basically when we actually drive sales. So now our book is desirable enough. Ideally, we have 30, 40 plus reviews. And if you did prep your bounty points, you will easily get this. And now we can drive sales through Amazon ads. So Amazon ads are not meant to bring all the sales to your book. They are used to get your book ranking, keep your book ranking over time. And even if they break even, that's fine because our book will be getting organic sales. Organic sales is where the money is. That is what we need to strive for. So the campaigns we're going to run are very simple. We're simply going to do a product targeting campaign. This is going to target all the relevant products in our space, mainly things that have 500 reviews or less and are clearly on our topic. We also want to have a manual keyword campaign targeting all the relevant keywords. And you can start these at $5 a day with the recommended bids and raise them as they start to perform. But you don't want these campaigns to be too broad. They're going to spend more money. So just target the main 5 to 15 products and keywords in their own campaign. So just have these two campaigns. We know we're targeting things that are relevant. As long as we have a good book in a high demand topic with enough reviews, we should bring in some sales. As long as we break even this first month, that's fine. So all we're trying to do is get our book ranking high. When our book ranks high in a good topic, the organic sales just flood in. Like we said before, if we want to actually have success with Amazon, we have to nail all these different things. And if you follow this video properly, you definitely will. So that is the first month of our book launch, which is the most important part. Now going into month 2, we want to sustain our book over time and make sure it is maintained. And that is done through continuing to run our Amazon ads, removing any keywords or products that aren't performing, and just making sure our campaigns have things that are doing at least break even. If our click-through rate is low with our ads, we can actually add in a new cover. The best thing to do for your book if it's not performing is add a new cover. It's going to increase your conversion rate, your click-through rate, and just stand out among the competitors. Don't be afraid to make some changes to your book. And of course, we're going to continue to collect these bounty points up to the 90-day mark. Now, step 6 is solidifying our book. So we're going to mainly do this through what I call the 90-day relaunch. So the reason we want to continue to gather bounty points is when the 90 days comes up, that's when we can re-enroll our book in KDP Select, or might do this automatically, and then run another free promo. So when we get to this point, we can go through the 90-day relaunch. Basically, it's going to mimic a book launch while our book is still live. So all we're going to do is go into our Amazon dashboard, edit our book pricing, and discount it once again to $9.99. And if I didn't mention it before, at the 30-day mark is when you want to raise your book price to be competitive, or you can wait an extra week or two if you want to get better ranking. Once again, we're going to run our free promo as many days as you can. This is when we're going to redeem all the bounty points that we were just collecting over the past 90 days, or I guess 60 days. And then we can also increase the daily budget of our ads to drive a bit extra traffic. And what this is going to do is have an influx of sales to our book, an influx of reviews to make sure it stays competitive in the form of the social proof, as well as boost it up in the rankings. And if you want, you can do this every 90 days, which is going to really solidify your book. And this is how you get 2, 3, 400 reviews plus. So what do we have now? We have a specific topic with high demand. We have a no-brainer offer that is positioned correctly. We have a strong title and cover that is selling our book. We have an aggressive launch in line with the Amazon algorithm. We should have at least 70 reviews. And most importantly, we should be ranking high if we've done everything else correctly. So why would your book not sell? If you nail every one of these steps based on the process I just overviewed, there's really no reason your book wouldn't sell. And that's the most important part about this video, is to actually succeed with Amazon KDP. We have to nail every part. And like I said, I've done over 150 one-on-one coaching calls with people building a KDP business. And I can promise you, with anybody who is struggling to sell books and make money, there's always a reason their book isn't selling. Whether it's their title, their cover, their reviews, their keyword, there's always something that's holding them back. And once you hit the nail on the head with everything, there's simply no reason your book can't sell. And the more books you create, the more you optimize, the more videos like this you watch and learn, the better you're going to get. So just don't quit and keep going. So step 7, what now? You published a book, you've had some success, hopefully because you nailed every step, you have enough reviews, you're starting to gain some traction with your business. Now all we're going to do is simply rinse and repeat this process with our next book. Find a similar high demand topic, or it can be something totally different in a different niche as long as there is demand. And we want to optimize everything and iterate each time. So see where your other book book fell short if you can, and optimize that with your next one. Just continue to rinse and repeat this process, and eventually you're going to have 5+ high content books in high demand topics, ranking high with desirable titles and covers, and enough reviews for social proof. And there's no reason you shouldn't make at least a little bit of money if you've done this correctly. So the only difference between a $1,000 a month and a $10K a month Amazon KDP business is just more of what's working. If you have a book that makes $500 to $1,000 a month, just make 5 or 10 more of those. You'll get to 10K a month. So yes, there is strategies that you optimize and learn throughout the process, but once you find what works once, you simply rinse and repeat that process as much as you can. This is the secret to actually making a lot of money with Amazon KDP. Keep it simple, find high demand topics, create good books, launch them well, and then move on to the next book. So if you do want me to walk you through my entire book creation process with a bit more detail and how I actually do every step, I will leave a full KDP course linked below, as well as it will be on the screen somewhere here. So definitely check that video out next. And it's going to help you publish a book that actually has the highest chance of making money. And if you are tired of YouTube tutorials, you just want my exact system step by step with handheld guidance along the way, there will also be a link for that. But you don't have to click that if you don't want to. Definitely check out the free course because it is free. It's very thorough, but the other option is there if you do want a bit more guidance. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.